The best ball draft season is winding down. We've got about a calendar month until the start of the NFL season, and you can't fix a problem you don't know you have. So with time running out on best ball, let's check our exposures and make sure they are neat and tidy and where we want them to be. Time for exposure check on the best ball show on the IDP Plus network. Welcome into the Draft Lab. I'm Joel Wirth, and this is the best ball show on the IDP Plus network. Welcome in. We've been off for a little bit. Real life is kind of taking its toll here in the Draft Lab, but we are back. Things are getting better every day, and it is time to check our exposures. Like I said, the best ball draft season is winding down. We've only got about a month left until the NFL season starts, which is kind of crazy. Last year, Best Ball Mania wrapped up, filled around, I think it was the Saturday of Labor Day, right before the season started. I've got about an extra 100,000 people, so we'll see how that affects it. But you're probably looking at about 4 weeks max until that contest closes. So we've got limited time until we get until the end of the best ball draft season for us to make our fortune. So it's time to check our exposures and check our portfolios and make sure that they are looking neat and tidy the way they want them to. So let's get to it. Let's bring up the old exposure sheet. I'm going to start with the top of the draft, the top 15 or 16 players that are getting drafted. And let's see where my exposures are at. Do I need to fix them? Are there any issues I have? Do I need to start drafting more of these guys? Am I not getting enough of these draft slots? So let's start at the top. Jamar Chase, I'm going to tell you, this year was looking just like last year where I just wasn't getting any 101s until like a 3-day stretch about a week ago where I got literally as many 101s in that 3-day stretch as I had the entire draft season. So I'm pretty much up to market on Jamar Chase shares. Happy with that. Happy to be caught up. Good there. Number 2, I've got Bijan Robinson moved up into the number 2 slot. I had Justin Jefferson there. I moved him down not because I don't think he's as good a bet with the ankle injury. It doesn't really affect me that much. It's so far before the season that I'm not too worried about it, or a hamstring injury for him. But I did move Bijan Robinson up just because I had so much Justin Jefferson exposure. I think I was up to about 16%, and I wanted to get my Bijan Robinson exposure up. And I knew that with Justin Jefferson injury issue, that he was going to fall a little bit. I've seen him go as far down as 5, 6 overall. So happy with that move there. Jefferson, you can see about 12% of my entry fees, 15% drafted. So I've got about 15% of my teams and about 12% of my money tied up in Justin Jefferson teams. So I'm okay with that. That seems about right. I'd like to get the number and the money kind of smoothed out there. That tells me I'm just drafting Justin Jefferson in a lot of cheaper, smaller contests. So I would like to get my exposure up in the bigger, more expensive contests. But pretty happy with where I am there. Again, CeeDee Lamb above market. Again, market is going to be 8%. So, 1 out of every 12 teams will draft these players that are going in every draft. So above market on CeeDee Lamb, happy with that. Saquon Barkley is the one guy in the first round that I'm just not taking a ton of. Listen, there's a lot of reasons, right? There's the 480 touches, which is just insane that he had last year, including playoffs. That's just nuts. A lot of his production came on long runs, which isn't necessarily sustainable. And Philly's going from probably the easiest schedule in the league last year to maybe the hardest. They've got a ton of primetime games, tough division. I think the Giants are going to be much better on defense. So I just don't think this is a team that's going to be able to sit back and run the ball like as much as they did last year. So they were the most run-heavy team in literal decade, in over a decade. So I don't think they're going to be able to run as much as they did at all. So I think this is a big, I'm not taking Barkley, right? But I'm not taking him as much as the market is. Obviously, well behind market. I do want to have some shares of him. I'm pushing that 4% exposure blanket. But yeah, he's the one guy in the first round I'm not taking too much of. Jahmyr Gibbs, I just haven't gotten him lately. I've seen drafts where he's moving up to the 2 pick, the 3 pick. And I've got him ranked 6. So just, that's kind of the market movement has kind of pulled me a little bit below market. I'm okay at 7%. I'd like to get that up to market rate, but that's all right. I'm not worried about that. Christian McCaffrey, He is the guy I'm drafting most in the first round. Goes, you know, he's ranked 7 overall. His ADP is 7 overall. And that's where I've got him as well. But I'm just never passing on him. Just he is the guy. There's just no one that late in the draft, well, not late, that far into the first round that can give you the potential to be the 101 overall, the top scoring player, the guy you need in best ball this year. So yeah, I'm not going to draft afraid. I'm not going to worry about the injuries. I'm just going to take him and, hope that I'm not going to worry about load management with the Niners. I'm just, we probably should. Kyle Shanahan does some sketchy things, but I'm just going to go ahead and take Christian McCaffrey. Hope that I get the that 101 season that we were hoping for last year. Puka Nacua, I have backed off him a little bit. The Matthew Stafford injury is kind of spooking me a little bit. This back injury, initially I kind of thought, okay, he's a veteran. He doesn't want to go through training camp. I don't know if that's the case. They're not, the Rams never play the starters in preseason games, and they're saying he's not going to play in the scrimmages either. So that's getting a little bit worried. I am buying the dip on Stafford just because now you can get him so late. And with this kind of quarterback horny market, you can just, if you get boxed out of quarterbacks, you can still get Stafford. You can get him at 160s now, 170s overall sometimes, because I think the market's overreacting at him a little bit. But I do want to back off Puka and Davante Adams just a little. I'm getting a little nervous for them because of the Stafford injury. Then Malik Nabers, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr. ahead of market on all those guys. I kind of like that entire tier. Mix them up, throw in a bag. I'll take any two of those and be happy. Ashton Genty, I'm a little bit behind, catching up a little bit here. I drafted a lot of him early and then kind of backed off, and now I'm kind of getting myself back up to Mark. Don't have an issue with him. It's just I like all those guys in front of him. I like Nabers a lot. I like Nico a lot. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown a lot. I like Brian Thomas. Just kind of tough to poke that tier. He's a guy I'm just trying to draft to kind of get some different combos. You remember, like early on, like Malik Nabers and Ashton Genty, because of the Week 17 correlation, kind of became the thing to do, and now you can do that pretty easily. So, just trying to get some unique combinations at this point. Devon Achane, just the guy I just never seem to get. I want to be above market on him, but whenever I get a late pick where I would be able to get him, it seems like he goes with the 10 pick. He goes with the 11 pick before I want to take him. So sometimes he goes with the 8 pick. So I think I and the market are all trying to get more of him. Derrick Henry right at market, good with that. And then Brock Bowers, again, another guy I was taking a lot of early, kind of really backed out, and the market's backed off him as well. He's now going in later in the second round. You can get him sometimes 19, 20, almost sometimes in the late 20s. So a guy I don't want to spend too much draft capital on because I think I'll be able to get him, in other drafts later. But I'm happy with that number. 10% is probably about where I want to be with him. So I'm good with that number. So that's the top tier. Before we move on and look at the individual positions, let's talk about our friends at Fast Draft. They've got an awesome new contest called the Rabbit No Rake. I think it's 11 rounds, something like that. So much closer to an actual underdog style best ball tournament. Very cool, no rake. And if you want to start trying out Fast Draft, you don't want to spend any money, you need a deposit match of up to $50 with code +Joel. Check out fastdraft.app and get a $50 deposit bonus match with the code +Joel. All right, let's manipulate my sheet here a little bit. Let's just do this. All right, let's start with the quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, obviously my number one quarterback. I am a big fan of drafting elite quarterback this year. Again, this is probably the deepest quarterback has ever been. There are only 2 teams that I'm really kind of unsure about their quarterback situations and whether I'm okay drafting them for best ball. That's the Giants and the Saints, just because I don't like Russell Wilson that much. I'm just very nervous about the Saints situation entirely. Spencer Rattler's terrible. Sounds like Tyler Shuck has been really bad in practice as well. He's had some moments, but has been just not consistent at all. So I'm very nervous about those two situations. The rest, I'm good. So I think there's 30 legitimate, there's 30 good starting quarterbacks. So if there's that many good starters, I want great. I want to be able to make a difference in that Singleton position. So I want one of the elites. I want Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels. Hurts is the cheapest of the four. And again, Hurts was going early in the contest. We talked about this before. He was going in the 50s, which is just absolutely insane. So I was just never passing on him there. So I have quite a bit of him. Now, the one thing I'm a little bit worried about, and this is where the exposure check helps, is when I was drafting Hurts, I'm almost always taking just two quarterbacks and stopping there. Now that I see, exactly how much I'm at 23%. Now, those teams are kind of, if I'm 23%, two quarterbacks, and one of this is, and 23% Hurts, and I'm two quarterback in all those teams, I'm very vulnerable if he suffers an injury. So I think I don't necessarily want to stop taking Jalen Hurts when I get the opportunity to take him at a good position. But maybe I want to start drafting more 3 quarterback Hurts teams, especially if I can get Stafford very late because of the injury concerns. So that's just one thing. That's one thing you can learn with the exposure check. It's okay, if I've got this much of this one guy and I'm only taking 2, then maybe I'm getting a little nervous there. Jordan Love, JJ McCarthy, the 2 late-ish guys, they go in 125, 130s, 120 sometimes, depending on the draft. Sometimes they fall. I got Jordan Love this morning in a draft that I think I got him 145, 146, something like that. So sometimes those guys fall. Sometimes you got to move up to get them. But like both those guys very much, I do think the Packers are going to throw a lot more than they did last year. Matthew Golden looks really good. I'd be very happy to have been very wrong about that draft pick. But yeah, I think the Packers are going to throw a lot more than they did last year. Looks fully healthy. Looks like he's back to his 2023 form. So I do want a lot of him and happy with that number. Again, McCarthy, a little bit lower, 16%. So I'm drafting him more in the smaller contests, but I do like JJ McCarthy. I think he's going to be just fine in that offense. Again, it's an offense that made Sam Darnold a fringe top 5 quarterback last year. I think he'll be just fine. I think he'll give you a little bit of running upside. Then Matthew Stafford. Again, this is kind of buttressed by the fact that I'm getting him much cheaper now. And, if he's healthy, I love him. I love that offense with Davante Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams. I think that's a really fun offense if he's fully healthy. And now the fact that the kind of injury scare is pushing him down sometimes a couple rounds worth, I'm just snatching that up, just in case it is nothing burger, and in case he's, day one, he's good to go. Then you're getting a huge value there. I think if you can draft Stafford in the 160s, pushing 170, something like that. And then Baker Mayfield. Again, I've talked about Joe Burrow in the past, right? And we'll talk about him in a second. To where I think Joe Burrow should be pushed down to where Baker Mayfield is. They had the exact same fantasy season last year, and everybody's saying, well, we got to expect regression from Baker Mayfield. But we're talking about Joe Burrow had career highs in every category as well. So I think Joe Burrow goes way too high. I think he should be drafted where Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield and Bo Nix go. Baker Mayfield's my favorite, and he's just got so many stack options, right? You got Mike Evans, Egbuka, Chris Godwin is falling now. It's just big. Bucky Irving obviously goes ahead, and I'm fine stacking Baker with Bucky Irving as well. So yeah, just a ton of stack options. I think that offense is gonna be just fine. I'm not worried about the coordinator change. Coordinators, I think it was the passing game coordinator is now the offensive coordinator or something like that. It's not going to change that much. So I'm just fine grasping Baker. The only real issue I have with Baker, and this is the same thing with Justin Fields, why I don't have a lot of Justin Fields, is they have the same bye week as Jalen Hurts, who is my most drafted quarterback. So that is a little bit of I'm not taking those guys intentionally on the same team because again, if I take Hurts, I don't really want to have to go 3 quarterbacks. So that makes it a little bit of an impediment to getting Mayfield and Fields, and that's why Fields is not on this list because I do like Justin Fields. It's just the bye week overlap with Jalen Hurts, so that is a little bit of an issue. And then Lamar Jackson, the market has moved to where he's now going in the mid to early 3rd. I'm fine with that. I'm good because I think you just hit a pocket where it's just, if I can get this, once you get to the Javonte Adams, the Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I like those guys, don't get me wrong, but Marvin Harrison, it just doesn't feel like those guys are separating from the receivers that are left, whereas I can get the number one quarterback, the guy who outscored Josh Allen by 50 points last year. I can get a legitimate difference maker at a position there. So, yeah, I'm good pushing Lamar Jackson up to the early third if necessary. And I probably want to get a little bit more of him. I would like to push that up to, 13, 14%. So that's a guy I'll be looking to kind of add a little bit. If he falls to late third at all, I'm just going to start pouncing on him there. And then Anthony Richardson. I've been on Anthony Richardson all year long. I've said that there's just no way the Colts are going to start Daniel Jones. He's just not an NFL starting caliber quarterback. And now we're getting the reports that it's playing out exactly like I thought it would. That basically Richardson's been okay and Daniel Jones has been terrible. So, yeah, now Richardson, all of a sudden, he's moving up. He's gone from the 190s till now. You have to draft him around 170 if you want to get him. So he's moved up quite a bit. I'm glad I have the shares I have. Again, before he was just, okay, yeah, I'll take him as my third quarterback because I know I'm going to get some games out of him. Now I think the market is expecting him to play majority of the season. So glad I'm above market right now. May need to start reaching for him a little bit to keep that, to keep myself well above market as well. Now let's look at two guys I'm low on that I'm worried about, or one guy I'm low on that I'm worried about, and one guy with a low exposure that I'm not worried about that I'm okay with having that low exposure. Josh Allen. Okay, let's be. I've got about 15, 16 slow drafts going, and I do have Josh Allen a few of those. So this number is going to get pushed up a little bit once those slow drafts close out. But, yeah, I'm not happy only having 3% Josh Allen, 2% drafted. That needs to go up. I need to get more Josh Allen. And, yeah, again, same thing with Lamar Jackson. If he falls to the late third, I just need to start jumping on that because we've seen, like last year, I had that 51-point game, literally cost me an advance on one team that I know about. So we've seen that he can have that absolute week-breaking potential. So, yeah, I'm not very happy at all to see that I have that low of an exposure. We'll be pushed up again once those slows close, but need to push that up a little bit. And then Joe Burrow, yeah, I'm just not, like I said on the previous show, not taking him at 72, even with Jamar Chase, because I don't think he should go there. I think he should be closer to the 90s. So, yeah, this 5% drafted, 6.5% entry, honestly, that's that's more than I thought I had, but I'm okay with that level. I just, again, if you're going to say that Baker Mayfield's got to regress because he had career highs in every category, so did Joe Burrow. Had 8 more touchdown passes last year than he had ever had in the season before. Career highs in basically every passing category. So I think the regression monster there's just so many ways that regression can come back, right? The defense could be just a little bit better. They may want to run the ball more to kind of protect the defense and get a new defensive coordinator. And that's on top of just standard regression. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that Joe Burrow could come back to the pack and just be the Joe Burrow that he was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even without, factoring in the fact that he was kind of injured those 2 years. So I am okay at that low exposure with Joe Burrow. Moving on to the running backs, and no surprise, if I'm that low on Saquon Barkley, I must be high on his backup, and that is Will Chipley. I give zero credence to A.J. Dillon being anything. A guy who was never that good in the first place. Trust me, I'm a Packer fan. I know. And then having to take a year off because of injury and then coming back into a new team. Zero credence to him being anything. So I do like Will Chipley. I think the responsible thing for the Eagles to do is to give Saquon Barkley some to back off his reps. Saquon Barkley is a guy who's always missed a couple games a year. Last year he stayed healthy, didn't have any injury issues. So I think there's just a chance that, where Will Chipley goes, he goes around 180 overall. To get that kind of where you could have a couple games started potentially in the playoffs for a team that ran the ball as much as Philly wants to or did last year and will want to this year. Just an absolute smash that late in the draft. So, yeah, my highest drafted running back, my highest drafted player overall right now is Will Chipley, 33%. My team, that seems a little high, but it is what it is. And then 30% of my dollar exposure on Will Chipley teams. No surprise, I don't think, if you listen to my last show about the ADP values, JK Dobbins, again, I think this is a situation where they could legitimately have a 2017 New Orleans Saints running back room where you had maybe RJ Harvey in the Alvin Kamara role and J.K. Dobbins in that Mark Ingram role. Now we're getting reports out of camp that RJ Harvey is really, really struggling in pass protection. There's a chance that J.K. Dobbins could just be a 3-down back, a full year removed from the Achilles injury, playing behind an elite offensive line. I think there's absolute smash potential for Dobbins. Last time we talked, I said he should go in the 110s. I'm taking him in the 90s now. I've got him ahead of, with the Mixon fall because of his injury. I've got Dobbins in the 90s. I've got him right where Jalen Warren is, right behind Jordan Mason. I've got him ahead of the Giants backs. This Cam Scatterbo, Tyrone Tracy. I just think he's a much better option, much higher upside, much safer option, even with RJ Harvey in the same backfield, who I like. Right? Don't get me wrong. I do like RJ Harvey, but I think Dobbins at his price point is just a much better value there. Braylon Allen, love the Jets running game this year. And Justin Fields will support. He will throw to his running backs. The RPOs will help. And now we're just talking. We're hearing talk that the Jets view Braylon Allen as basically a 1B, kind of in the David Montgomery role. Where he goes in the late 160s, 170s, he's moving up a little bit. You could usually get him before in the early 170s. Now you kind of push him up to the 160s. I've got him ranked probably in the late 130s, 140s, something like that. I've got him like right behind Ray Davis and Trey Benson, right in that area. So I've got him well above market. You can see that I'm getting him quite a bit. Marshawn Lloyd, he was my most drafted player early on. I backed off him quite a bit with the groin injury. Again, it's not a serious injury, probably going to keep him out a week, but man, the fact that this guy who just could not stay on the field in college, couldn't stay on the field last year, couldn't get on the field last year because of injuries, already injured like 3-4 days into camp, it's really concerning. I'm just very concerned that this guy just can't withstand an NFL. He can't play NFL football. I don't know if he has the body for it, but the opportunity's there. The team loves him. They love what he brings. He is explosive. He's got the juice. You've got everything you want with the ball in his hands. Just everything else is the problem with Marshawn Lloyd. So, but he goes so late. Yeah, he's a late round guy. He's round 17. You can get him around 18 now because of the injury. He's fallen that far back. So, I'm still going to have some shares of him. I'm still going to be way, way above market. You can see there's basically no way of coming back from that exposure. But he's basically free. So, I'm not too worried about that. But a little bit concerned that he could be the zero concern is creeping in. Next is Treveyon Henderson. I just love this kid. I think he is going to be the number one back in time in New England. And I don't think it's going to take long. It's fully this season. I think he's going to relegate Ramondre Stevenson to the one, probably not even a 1B role. I think more of a number 2 role. I love Treveyon. He gives them some juice. He gives them some kind of outside bounce. He gives them pass blocking. He just does everything and just makes Ramondre Stevenson look like a very pedestrian back. So I do love Treveyon Henderson. When we talked about James Conner and we'll talk about that in a second, why I'm not getting James Conner because I'm drafting too much Treveyon Henderson. But Caleb Johnson, here's where we don't want to double count. We don't want to double count good news. We don't want to double count bad news. We're hearing reports from camp that Caleb Johnson just can't pass block at all. I didn't think he could in the first place. I put no value on his run or on his pass production. I think that's all going to be Jalen Warren. But I do think he's going to be a very good back in this zone blocking scheme that Arthur Smith runs. And they just run a lot. So, yeah, I think Caleb Johnson will still be fine where he gets drafted at. I'm not going to overreact to him not being a good pass blocker because I didn't think he was going to be a good pass blocker. I didn't think he was going to be on the field and pass down snaps. He wasn't in Iowa, and they just didn't throw the ball at Iowa that much anyway. So, Don't double count the bad news. Don't double count the good news. If you get news from camp that's exactly what you expected, just keep on keeping on. Just keep on trucking. Breece Hall, again, love the Jets offense. I don't know, love the Jets offense. I love how condensed the Jets offense is. The same argument with Braylon Allen. They put him in the Jahmyr Gibbs role. Very productive role. And with Justin Fields at quarterback, Justin Fields can support, in the passing game and in the running game with the RPOs, can support very productive running backs. So, yeah, I love Breece Hall in the late third. If I get him, sometimes I get him in the fourth, which is awesome. That feels so good. So 17%, I'm very happy with that exposure right there. And then Jalen Wright. I think Jalen Wright was the biggest winner of the Jonnu Smith trade. It's because I just don't know. They're not going to try and replace that tight end production that they got from Jonnu Smith. That was out of necessity last year. So what I think is going to happen is they're basically just going to run kind of a pony package with Devon Achane and Jalen Wright in the backfield, and then split Devon Achane out probably into the slot as a receiver. That's going to get Jalen Wright on the field a lot more. He showed flashes last year. It wasn't consistently good, but at his price point, like him a lot. So I get 15% exposure there. So yeah, like I said, I think he's the big winner of the Jonnu Smith trade, and I think he's someone who's very underdrafted right now. The two backs that was surprised at my exposure, well, one that I need to up my exposure and one that I'm fine not having much of. James Conner just goes right where Treveyon Henderson goes. He is a direct casualty by drafting so much Treveyon Henderson. And I was very surprised at how low because I like James Conner. I like James Conner a lot. I like, my concern with the Arizona offense is that Drew Petzing is only good at calling running plays or designing a run game and not very good at designing a pass offense. So I do like James Conner quite a bit. A little nervous about the injuries, but not that nervous. And so, yeah, I was surprised to see my exposure was this low. I felt like I was drafting, again, this is why you want to check your exposures. I felt like I was drafting him a lot. I have quite a bit of him in Superflex drafts, but not much in single quarterback. So that's kind of a breakdown. If you're doing a lot of Superflex drafts like I did, sometimes you need to kind of get some overlap in there. And, like I said, I had a good amount of Conner in Superflex, but just very little in single QBs. So that was a good thing to learn. And again, not surprising because I'm taking Treveyon Henderson a lot there. So James Conner is someone I'm going to make a dedicated effort to get more of. Javonte Williams, I have almost none of, maybe one, maybe two shares. I don't care. I don't think he's good. I don't think Dallas is going to run the ball that much. I think they're going to have to throw a ton. Javonte Williams is just bad. He had every opportunity last year. He was a full year removed from the knee injury, over a year removed from the knee injury, an elite run blocking offensive line, and did absolutely nothing with it. I'm fine taking a flyer on Miles Sanders at 180 or something like that. I'm fine taking Jaden Blue in the 150s as the pass down back. All well and good. Taking Javonte Williams in the 120s, 130s, it just seems absolutely absurd to me. It just feels like a waste of a draft pick. So I am fine having almost none of Javonte Williams. If he beats me, he beats me. I just think that's so unlikely that I'm okay having. If that's the way I go down, that's the way I go down. All right. Before we talk about wide receiver, we're talking about best ball. Best ball, we care about spike weeks. We don't really care about consistency, right? But if you've got a home league draft, a redraft league coming up, you're going to want to care about consistency. You need to know about consistency. You need to check out the Bob Lung Fantasy Football Consistency Guide for 2025. It's the 10th edition. You can get it on Amazon for $15.99. Bob does such a great job breaking down how these players are consistent. You're setting a lineup. You need to know that these guys are getting in and getting production every week. So just an absolutely great tool for managed leagues. That's Bob Lung's Fantasy Football Consistency Guide. You can get it on Amazon. Got a Prime account, right? You're watching Thursday Night Football? Of course you are. Get on Amazon right now. Again, that's Bob Lung's Fantasy Football Consistency Guide for 2025. Get on Amazon Prime right now. All right. Moving on to the wide receivers. Now, the top of this list, with the exception of Egbuka, is just all late guys, right? Jalen Royals, Dontavian Wicks, Dyami Brown, Jalen Noel. all late round guys that I can just kind of plug in and I think have a chance to produce as kind of wide receiver 3-4s. Royals, I do like kind of taking if I've got like a Rashee Rice, if I've got a Jordan Addison, a Chris Godwin, someone that I think is probably not going to be available for the first part of the early part of the season because of injury or suspension. Because I think Royals is probably going to slot in, has a chance to slot in for Rashee Rice while he's suspended. So if I need kind of early season production, he's my kind of go-to late last round receiver. And I've been drafting quite a bit of him lately with the news of the Rashee Rice suspension. Emeka Egbuka, I was drafting a lot of him before the Godwin news came down. I just think this kid is so good that I think eventually he was going to force his way onto the field. Now you're probably going to give him a runway to get on the field, and I don't think he's ever given it back. I think Godwin will still play once he gets healthy, but I think once we see what this kid can do, there's just no way you're taking him off the field. So he will be an every down receiver for the entirety of the season. I've moved him all the way up. I think I've got him ranked at like 66 overall now. I've got him ahead of Juwan Jennings, even before the calf injury with Juwan Jennings. I just think Jennings was kind of overranked. I've got Egbuka well into the 60s. So, if you're worried about taking him in the early 70s, don't be. I think he belongs there. So, I love Emeka Egbuka, and I think his ADP is going to continue to rise as Chris Godwin sits out. And I think, again, sets up a great stack with Baker Mayfield. So, I just love the Bucs offense this year. Again, Dontavian Wicks, just complete flyer. Backing off him a little bit because Matthew Golden looks so good. But again, that was never the calculus of that move. It was always about, if injury hits and he becomes kind of a de facto starter, then he can kind of smash from his last round draft position. Again, Dyami Brown. I do like drafting Dyami Brown. I draft a lot of Travis Hunter. We'll talk about in a second. I like drafting Dyami Brown as kind of the backup just in case, for those games where maybe Travis Hunter has to play more defense or something like that. Who knows how this whole thing is going to shake out? I'm willing to bet on the Travis Hunter talent, but there's a lot of ways this can go. So I don't necessarily like handcuffing a lot, but I do like taking Dyami Brown with Travis Hunter. And then Jalen Noel, I think he's ultimately the direct replacement for Christian Kirk, and Christian Kirk has just not shown the ability to stay healthy the last few years. So I'm fine taking him as a late flyer. All right, let's talk about Travis Hunter. I think he's good. That's all this is. I think he's too good for them to not play him at receiver. I think he could very much have a Garrett Wilson rookie season. I've got him at about 15%. Happy with that number. Chris Olave. Again, assuming this is a guy we were taking in the second round last year. And now he's fallen all the way to probably kind of the sixth or so because of the concussion concerns. If those turn out to be nothing, they're serious, right? They're legit. But if he can play 17 games, he's very underdrafted, right? Even with the quarterback problems, right? Somebody's going to get him the ball eventually. They will get him into space. I'm very little concern about him, and I think if he can play 17 games, then his draft position is way too low to reflect the talent and opportunity that he has. Garrett Wilson again, and it's strange that I don't have Justin Fields on my top quarterback list because I like these Jets so much. I do like the Jets offense quite a bit, but it's just a bye week overlap with Baker Mayfield, that's Jalen Hurts. I think he's the third of those three to get drafted. So I have quite a bit. It's like the number I have between the two. Again, of my teams, 23%. That's 35% of my teams have either Jalen Hurts or Baker Mayfield on them. So I just don't have a lot of opportunity to get to Justin Fields. So, I do like this Jets offense a lot. Garrett Wilson is just the only dude could get a 35% target share this year. Would that surprise you? Wouldn't me. So I just think there's so much opportunity because there's just not another receiver on this team that I trust. Michael Pittman, again, I think these Colts receivers are just way underdrafted because of the FUD of the quarterback situation. And Michael Pittman wasn't healthy last year, had a broken bone in his back. If he's healthy, I think he will be just fine. Where he gets drafted, in the 90s, I think he easily outperformed that draft position. Saquon Williams, I don't feel like I've drafted him in 2 months, but I was drafting him quite a bit right after the draft. I don't think he's going to be a super productive guy. I don't think he's going to be a high snap share guy. I just think there's a very good chance that he's just a kind of default go-to red zone, end zone guy because he's their only receiver with any size until Christian Watson gets back. So I think there's an opportunity for him to maybe score in a gadget role and a red zone role, maybe pushing 8 to 10 touchdowns. And for a guy who almost never gets drafted, I don't think the draft cost reflects what his kind of upside is. Even though I've drafted very little of him lately. Cedric Tillman, again, I think he's the clear number 2 in Cleveland behind Jerry Jeudy. And I think it's just somebody's going to get him. Like Joe Flacco can go in and be discount Jameis Winston, right? And produce. He's going to throw a ton of interceptions. Yeah, it's going to hurt the team, but he can still produce he can support fantasy receivers. So again, I don't think Cedric Tillman's draft capital requirement reflects his opportunity in that offense. Tet McMillan, I just absolutely love as a rookie number 8 overall pick. I think he's going to dominate targets in that offense. So someone who goes 40 overall, I like him quite a bit. And then Rashee Rice, again, big delta there between the number of teams and the cost on teams that I've drafted him on. So I'm getting him on a lot of high dollar teams. So I guess I should take that as a sign that the market is kind of afraid to take him on those, on the BBM teams, on the Huskies and the other high dollar teams, stuff like that, the Pit Bulls. So maybe that's something you can look for if you're in these drafts. And maybe they're getting a guy like Rashee Rice is getting, or Jordan Addison, you're getting discounted because of the suspension risk, where people are maybe more willing to take him on in those cheaper contests. And then 2 guys I was surprised by. Well, I'm not surprised on the second one. DK Metcalf. I feel like I drafted him more than this, but I guess not. Again, it's that area where he gets drafted. You're also taking Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, George Pickens, you name it. Cortland Sutton, that late 4th, early 5th. There's just a lot of guys I like there, and just Jameson Williams. I guess I just not be I'm just overlooking Metcalf too much in that area. I probably get him ranked behind all those guys, so I just don't get him enough. So that's a guy I need to make a concerted effort to get more of. I don't dislike him at all. I think just have him ranked at kind of the bottom of that tier, and everybody else takes him at the beginning of the tier. So maybe need to make a little bit of a concerted effort to get more of him. Khalil Shakir, again, I talked about him. I don't think he has a place in this format in half PPR. When you can get Wan'Dale Robinson 8 to 10 rounds later, it's almost the exact same player. Now he's got the high ankle sprain. I think that absolutely destroys his value. Glad I have almost none of him, and I won't be taking. I'm not buying the dip. I don't care. You can have him at the dip. Please, Buffalo. Please. I'm begging you. Please use this opportunity to let Keon Coleman run as a big slot. That's all I'm asking. All right. To the tight ends. Tucker Kraft, again, if you watched my last show, you know how much I like him. I think he can be their leading receiver, their leading target getter in that offense, and I think it's an offense that's going to throw a lot more than they did last year. Right now, he is my number 2 drafted player after Will Chipley. TJ Hockenson, my number 2 tight end. All right, I don't think we've talked about him before, but let's talk about it. He's a tight end in a very good offense with an elite play caller. He's going to have a first-year starter quarterback. What's the old saw about first-year starters at quarterback? They love their tight ends. So I think he had a much better opportunity share than he did last year. He probably ran really cold on touchdowns last year when he came back. If you look at his production level and what he's historically produced, he probably should have had 3 or 4 touchdowns. He scored 0 touchdowns last year. So ran very cold on touchdowns. And if you think about it, before he got hurt, 2022, 2023, this guy was trending toward the dynasty tight end 1 just because of his volume role in that offense. 2022 and 2023, he scored 170 plus half PPR points in both of those seasons. You know who else scored 170 PPR points in both those 2 seasons? George Kittle, who goes a full 4 rounds ahead of TJ Hockenson. So I love probably TJ Hawkins is probably my favorite tight end at their draft capital level. Isaiah Likely, very concerned about the broken bone in his foot. Will probably cost him the start of the season. Probably good chance it costs him a few games. Probably it may cost him like the first quarter of the season. So I'm very worried about that. But there's a dip you can buy. He's dropped about 10, 15 spots now. So you can buy the dip on him a little bit. Just that I'm no longer comfortable with him. You know, you have a lot of Tucker Kraft, Isaiah Likely teams because of that week 17 correlation. Now, you know, Kraft's got that week 5 bye. Now I'm really nervous. Is Isaiah Likely going to be back and ready to contribute at that point? That's a little scary. So I'm not drafting Likely as my second tight end with Tucker Kraft, with Colson Loveland, who we'll talk about next. So I think you need to be more. I'm okay buying the dip on Likely because I think he'll be fine eventually and will be a late season producer. But I think you need to be very judicious about how you know, if you're only going to draft 2 tight ends, he becomes a little bit sketchy as a second. So just be careful with that. Just don't just kind of just rote draft him like you normally would and, you know, figure that everything's going to be okay. You need to kind of pay attention to the bye weeks and how everything's going to slot out now. Colson Loveland, again, I think he should be going ahead of Luther Burden. I think he seems fully healthy. I think there was some concern about the shoulder injury and that he couldn't practice at OTAs. But yeah, I think he just like Tucker Kraft, he could be their leading target getter, leading receiver from the tight end position. Again, first year coach, drafted a tight end in the top 10 with his first ever draft pick for this team. That's telling you what he wants to do. All the reports from camp say he's running well ahead of Cole Kmet. So I thought they might run a ton of 2 tight end too. A lot of 12 personnel, just like I think the Packers are going to do with Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. I thought the Bears might do that with Loveland and Kmet. They still might. You never know. But yeah, I think Loveland is going to absolutely smash in his rookie season. Chance to put up, I guess, a similar season to like what Kyle Pitts did in his rookie season, except he'll actually score some touchdowns, Colson Loveland. I don't want to say Colson Loveland will have a Sam Laporta rookie season because Laporta's rookie season was really driven by touchdowns more than kind of volume. But I think Loveland can be a volume producer and score some touchdowns. So, but I think he can have kind of a similar rookie season points-wise, scoring-wise to those two. And then Hunter Henry, again, it's a tight end in Josh McDaniels' offense. I think he's going to be a great fit. He was really Drake May's favorite receiver. You look at his game logs last year. Once Drake May started, you know, and took over the starting job, that's when Hunter Henry kind of took off and started being a regular producer. So I think that's a great fit. Again, I don't like the New England receivers. I don't like Steph Diggs at all. I draft almost no Steph Diggs. I don't want to draft a 31-year-old coming off knee surgery. Just don't. I don't care how good he looks at practice at OTAs. Doesn't matter. It's just not the kind of guy I want to draft. We're hearing Kyle Williams is having drop issues, even though I do like him. So I think there's a very good chance that Hunter Henry is just the leading receiver. Hunter Henry and Treveyon Henderson are potentially the top 2 receivers in this New England offense. So I do like Hunter Henry quite a bit. So this is really the bulk of my tight end room is these 5 guys. The low volume guys I'm concerned with. David Njoku. This shocked me. It shocked me that I have this low percentage or I've drafted David Njoku this few times. Again, he goes right by Tucker Kraft. Obviously, I'm just jumping Tucker Kraft over him every time, and I need to focus on drafting more David Njoku. We're hearing that they're going to run more 12 personnel and get Harold Fannin involved. That's great. I'm willing to draft Harold Fannin as a late tight end if I need a third or something like that. But yeah, I need to get more David Njoku. I'm just not getting nearly enough of him. That's a very serious concern. This is probably the most surprising thing I found when I looked at my exposures when I was that low on David Njoku, because I feel like I draft a lot of him. Again, maybe it's a super flex thing, but I need to up that percentage. And Pat Freiermuth, again, like Javonte Williams, I don't draft any of him, and I don't care. Is there some risk that this burns me? Yeah, we're hearing they want to build the passing game around the tight ends. I believe that when I see it. But Aaron Rodgers has just never supported fantasy tight ends. 2 times in 17 years as a starter, he supported a fantasy tight end with decent production. Jermichael Finley in 2011 in an elite, all-time great offense at the time. At the time, that 2011 Packers team was the second highest scoring team of all time, only trailing the 2007 Patriots, who were undefeated and great offenses of all time. That offense carried Jermichael Finley along. He doesn't even have that great season, like 8 touchdowns. And then Robert Tonyan's rando touchdown season a few years ago when Davante Adams was hurt for 3 or 4 games. Rodgers just never supports fantasy tight ends. So I can't get there on Freiermuth, even though the draft cost is minimal. I just can't see it. With he's got to beat out Johnny Smith. I think Darnell Washington could get some end zone looks. So I can't get there on Pat Freiermuth. I'm fine. If Pat Freiermuth beats me, Pat Freiermuth beats me. I'm very low concern level about that. So that's it for this week. There'll be a lot. We got a lot of time to make up for. So there's gonna be a lot of content coming out very soon. Got the Expo this week. I hope to see everyone there. Love the Expo. Just the best time. Coming up this week right here. Beautiful Canton, Ohio. The weather is supposed to be awesome this week. So online sales have closed, but you can still make your trip. Show up. You can still buy tickets at the door. Just would love to see everyone here at the Expo. Come up and say hi. If you watch the show, I'd love to hear from you. Check out everything we got going on at IDP Plus. So much going on. We got Axe and Johnny and Ricky putting out IDP content. We got Sebastian putting out betting content. So much going on here in the channel. So do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out everything we got going on and the IDP Plus video network on the idpplus.com, on the IDP Bets channel. So much going on. I'm Joel Wirth. You can find me on the Twitter and the Blue Sky at the Joel Wirth. Thanks for checking out the show. We'll talk to you soon. Until later, get your exposures down, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.